Hey, everybody, Matt Cribbs here, and welcome to another Wednesday morning drive. Didn't quite have the rhythm on that one right. Welcome to another Wednesday morning drive. How you doing? I'm doing good. It's been a interesting week. A lot of stuff has gone wrong, and a lot of stuff has gone right. But I think things have gone wrong in an interesting way, and so we'll talk about that. But first, things have gone right. Once again, thanks for everyone new to the channel, enjoying the stuff. Did a little collab with Clobber Stomp over what was that, Monday night? I believe we did it on Lineage 2, which is awesome. That's going to be coming out, I believe, on the 15th is where when we're releasing that one. So looking forward to it. It's going to be good. And still enjoying that game, making progress, and doing a lot of fun stuff. A little concerned with possible grindy nature of it in the later stages. I mean, that's a factor of all MMOs, but it really depends on what type of grinding it is. Some grinding just has cooldowns and you just have to wait, and it takes time, or you can collect things little by little. Some of it involves actual sitting at the keyboard long time, and I got other things to do, so we'll just have to see. We'll see what happens there, and we'll see how it goes. But I think I have a long time before I really have to worry about that, because I'm level 30 something, so it goes up to 90s and above and forever. I don't know. So yeah, long time before we're gonna have to worry about that. Ooh, excuse me. I had chili last night, and I am not enjoying the chili this morning. It doesn't taste as good the second time. So, excuse me if I'm a little out while I'm talking here. So that was good. Other awesome thing, Riot Pack is now a thing, and this is something that came up as a discussion with the team. We had, Feed the Beast Infinity had been, been fun, but it been kind of played out, I think, by the team overall. I certainly wasn't necessarily done, but I had gotten busy with other things and kind of taken a break. And I believe my what I said was like, at what point does a break just become no longer playing? So, it is what it is. We ended that series or server and moved on. It's up on Ryotcraft.com to download the world map if you'd like to, so go check that out. And we started, we didn't want to do another 1.7 mod pack because, a lot of them have been that way, and we've all done a lot of those. So we went for 1.8 Unstable, which now the Feed the Beast team has said is done, being updated, and they're going to move on to 1.9, but no indication of when that's going to happen. So we're like, well, what if we roll our own 1.9 pack? And, it used to be putting together a Minecraft mod pack was a hard thing to do, and you had to deal with item ID conflicts and recipe conflicts, and a lot of that difficulty is now no longer a thing. You still have to deal with recipes, and you have to make sure the mods are stable and the server doesn't crash, which we had some trouble with in our first episodes, but hey, that's cool. But it's a lot easier to get things working together. So we have Riot Pack, which, as far as we're aware, is really the first 1.9 mod pack that's being actively played out there. So if there's another one, feel free to let me know. But we think it's if it's not the first, it's certainly one of the first. So it's an awesome thing, and we're committed to keeping it up. We're working to get permission from all the mod authors so that we can actually make this thing public, and you guys can go, join in on the fun and play the same mod pack as we do, which will be cool. And Zog is the man. He also takes the blame as a joke, but he really did a lot of the work to bring this all together. And Dog's been doing a lot of debugging. Everyone's been involved. Everyone who's into modded has been involved, and it's just been an awesome thing. And so really excited about that. So those things have gone fabulously and really, really well, and lots of good things. But in the process of that, a lot of things have gone wrong. And, some of it's with that unstable 1.8 server, and then also in the process of putting together the 1.9 mod pack. Just part of the nature of that is finding out if mods conflict, and finding when things go wrong, and finding out why things are crashing, and what's the mod doing it, or what's the setting doing it, and can we fix it, or do we have to get rid of the mod, or what can happen. And also in my day job, there's been some things that have not worked right, and so we've had to track down, well, what's going wrong and what's the thing causing it. And that whole process, call it support or debugging, or I think those are really the two words you can call it. Trouble resolution, investigation. It's a really fun process for me. I really like, I program, and I like to do that, but I also really like it's related to programming, but the problem solving in the technical space, and figuring out what is really going on when something crashes or when something doesn't work. And it's also something that I'm apparently fairly good at. And I don't know where I picked that up, because, I went to school for computer engineering, and I got, my degree in that, and all my education was about computer engineering, which covers, the hardware and the software, and, building a computer up, building the logic, all of those things, and has the code in it too. We had, C and C++ to date myself, because Java wasn't a thing, and we learned how to program, but not really from a computer science point of view. We had algorithmic analysis and figuring out which search is faster and things like that, but not as, we also had the hardware side, so we couldn't focus purely on the software side, which is what, at least my peers in computer science, that, that's more of what I hear their focus is in those types of degrees. So it was really well-rounded and really great, but it did leave some holes. Like, when I first started working, databases was a thing that were in massive use, and still are, even with the NoSQL movement and cache and all that. There's still, in most applications, there's a database that stores things. And you use them with, a language called SQL, that not Squeal, not SQL, it's SQL. For anyone who disagrees with me, but hey, that's fine. I say it's SQL. A language like that you use to get data out of the databases that I had never even heard of in my education. And so it was very interesting. Like, oh, now you have to use this as a major part of what we do. So had to learn that. But my first job out of school was working on support and enhancements for a system that had already been built. It had been built by the company I worked for as one of their first projects, and was actually being used for, I need a Pepto or something. But it was being used by the New Jersey utility company, PSE&G, to run the to do their trucks, like the guys coming out to your house and doing that work. And it basically had the office take the calls, say you need an appointment, and it would send a message to a computer in the guy's car saying, hey, you have an appointment at this time, and they could do all sorts of stuff with it. That's at a very, very high level. That's what it did. And it was being used. And a lot of our job was bug reports would come in, and they would say, hey, I did this and it crashed. And we weren't help desk. There was a level of support. It's like, well, I can't figure out how to do this, and they would say, well, you're doing it wrong, or what's this? And there was like that first level of, what is it a problem that we know about that the user is just doing something wrong, and can they fix it? But when things got to us, it was after all of that. It was like, okay, something is going wrong with the system, and we either don't know what it is, or this is what is happening and it needs investigation, it needs a fix. So we would spend a lot of time, trying to reproduce it. We had all this things set up in kind of a test area, and we would figure out, like, okay, if this happens and then this happens and this happens, it goes wrong. And then we would look at the log files, the code, and debug it and figure out, like, well, okay, because what it's doing is it's trying to, I don't know, use this piece of data that's not ready yet, or it's trying to do something. And that whole process of figuring it out from, you know, really sometimes very sketchy reports, very like, oh, I clicked this button and it crashed. Okay, well, what were you doing at the time? How did you do it? You know, what was the, you know, path you took to get there? Those things matter, and those things make a difference. And so, like, figuring out that process of investigation is really fun. I mean, it's if you look at anything on TV like it, where, you know, programming a new system from the requirement, it's pretty dry. You're like, these are the requirements, this is what I want it to do, how should we do that? And then you build it, and you make it. And that's, I don't know what that would equate to, but the debugging part, the support part, the troubleshooting is a lot like, I guess, like Bones or any of those forensic dramas where you have very, very limited information, and you have to figure out what is going wrong and how to fix it. And that is fascinating, because you can't just start anywhere, because there's so much going on in these systems that without making some good guesses or getting some more information, you could spend hours and days and weeks just looking at something that's not even related to the problem. So there's a little bit of, like, art to it. There's a little bit of gut feel to it. Like, oh, I've done this before. I'm looking at a problem and I'm like, I don't know what's doing it, and I'm like, I have no reason to think that this other thing would be related to it, but let's try it anyway. And it works. And then you have a little bit more information. You're going to say, okay, well, if that works, then maybe this other thing would have an effect. And you do that, and it works, and you get another piece of information. And just kind of poking and prodding and using your instincts to kind of figure out where the problem is a really, I love that process, and that debug, that thinking of what could possibly, as unlikely as it seems, what could possibly cause this behavior I'm seeing? And you make a theory, and you think, well, maybe it's this, and you test it. And it either works or doesn't, but either way, you learn something. And I think that's, you know, it has some things like science, like trying to do experiments and educate, because, you know, at the end of the day, they're the same fundamental task, right? They're trying to figure out how something works by trying things to it. And so it's a often underrated and unglamorous side of the software world, and it doesn't get a lot of, you know, the credit. Like, everyone's like, oh, you know, John Carmack wrote Doom, and, you know, we know the lead developers, but who were the testers? Who were the debuggers? Who were the support team? You don't know them. So I think it should get more credit, because I think if you really know how to do that, I think you're a much better programmer when you're writing new code, and probably much better at a lot of things, because that same critical thinking thought process, that same, you know, well, what happens if I do this, is how you can solve most problems in life, and learn more information and get better at anything you do. Although I would not suggest trying experiments with, you know, say, your close friends. Well, what happens if I punch him in the nose? Not a good experiment. That would probably not be a good thing to do. You can probably just do some reasoning and figure out that that's a bad idea. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of that over the past week with, you know, some things that broke at work and trying to figure out what's going on and how can we fix it, and also with assembling these mod packs. So it's very much where my head is at. And it's funny because once you get in that mindset of trying to debug things and figure stuff out, you start applying it to everything. We have a coffee table that has some drawers in it that actually on both sides of the table, it's the same drawer. So you push it, you push it this way and the drawer comes out, or the same drawer, you can pull it this way and it comes out. And, I have a baby, and he was trying to get in the drawer, so I had to childproof it. And none of the locks that are out there now, childproofing locks, are really made for that, because a lot of them are a little hook and a little latch, and when you pull it, it goes like this, so the kid can't pull the drawer out. But this part, because this drawer has to move both ways, it would prevent it from sliding in that other direction. So we actually had to try a couple things to say, well, like, what if we put the hook here? And oh wait, no, that won't work because it'll slide here, or you can pull down on there and still get it open. And so, I took my debugging tasks to childproofing my coffee table. Good news is I won, because daddy always beats baby. When it comes to childproofing, he's tested me, but so far I'm still winning the battle. So anyway, a lot of what we've been doing, and a lot of trying to figure things out, and it's something that I think more people should think about. Like, approach problems like you're a whatever your favorite crime scene investigation, that's not a show at all, or whatever type that are. Like, try and break down the problem and play detective on something, and it's a lot more rewarding than you might initially think. So that's what's been on my mind this week. Looking forward, there's going to be new Lineage 2s out, new modded Riot pack coming out, and still planning on doing some vanilla. But I think vanilla's great because it can just wait, and the server will still be there, and the game will still be there, and it'll be good. And so, I'm not abandoning it at all, but I'm also in no hurry because there's other cool new things that I want to work on. So until then, enjoy and keep playing, and I will talk to you later. Bye. And I can't turn off my camera. Driving. Cannot turn off camera. Yellow light. Here we go. All right. Bye, guys.